I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
It's another installment of Women, Power and Politics. My name is Sweety Aborchie and it's so good to see you. Welcome to the program. This is the only program on the Joy News channel where we focus on women. Women who are leading the charge, stepping into the arenas of power and changing the narrative. Today we want to focus on a phenomenal woman. I'll keep my introduction short because we are going to unravel who she is. But I like to say that I am impressed with how she hits the ground running. She's one of the newly appointed CEOs. And she is a climate scientist, a distinguished climate scientist and an advocate for environmental sustainability. My guest today on Women Power Politics is Professor Nanama Brown Klutse. Prof, thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.
How has it been? A few days in office. How's the feeling? How are you feeling right now?
Thanks for having me on your show, and let me greet your listeners wherever they are. Started office last week.
Yeah.
It was exciting, but at the same time, I felt a huge sense of responsibility on me. EPA is huge, so there are a lot to do. So I felt a lot of things I need to work on, and I couldn't sit and wait. That's why I hit the ground.
And we see it. The sun is scorching. You're there. You're, inspecting all these places.
Yes.
But let's start from the very beginning. Many people are only getting to know you for the first time since you assumed this role. So put the professor title and everything aside. How would you describe Nanama Klutse or Nanama Brown to someone who's just getting to know you? Who are you?
Okay, so Nanama Brown Klutse. I'm from Nyamfeku Ekrofo. It's in the central region. It's one of the villages in the Abra Asebuko Mankese districts.
Okay. And
I grew up a little bit there and a little bit also at Anomabo. Actually attended the Anomabo Methodist Primary and JHS.
Okay.
And then after I went to Infantiman Girls Secondary School. So I did science throughout, and then I went to do physics at the University of Cape Coast and did my PhD in climatology at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. And I did part of the research also in Italy, Trieste, at an institute called the International Center for Theoretical Physics.
Okay.
So I've been back in Ghana since my studies and have contributed severally to the education of physics, especially the basics, and also to climate science. So climate science is big, it's wide. I do the science, I do the modeling of climate, and then we do prediction into the future. So we want to know how the climate will look like in the future.
I can't wait for us to get there because I'm curious to know at the rate at which we are destroying our water bodies and environment, what do you think are the dangers that you foresee? But let's go one step at a time. You mentioned that you did science.
Yes.
How did you know that you would lean towards the path of science? Is there any significant turning moments that you thought, I want to go and read science?
Yes, I would say. So growing up, I used to ask a lot of questions about nature. And you get my parents and my teachers telling me that when you go to school, you learn science or study science. So JHS teachers would tell me to focus on science, to understand more of the questions I ask. So I asked questions relating to more like in nature, like the stars, why we cannot count the stars, never able to finish counting stars. Where are they? Why do some get brighter than others? The moon, phases of the moon. And all of those questions, why cars do have lights and we may have light off at home. Different questions.
You asking all these questions?
Yes.
Were your parents annoyed at some point?
At some point, my mother would tell me that you're talking too much. Like, I got that several times. So she even gave me a name, but anyway.
Please tell
Then my teachers as well. So I did ask a lot of, I still ask questions, by the way. So
which is good.
Where I don't get an understanding of a thing, I want to know. Sometimes people feel offended for simple questions I ask because I just want to know, not because I kind of challenge whatever it is. I just want to understand certain principles that's whatever. So I was asking a lot of questions, and then it sent me into reading science at secondary level. And then at the school level, I did physics, chemistry, biology. I didn't do mathematics at secondary school level. I did mathematics only at the university.
Wow.
So I did physical science
did
and
that
maths.
gap affect you
It affected me a little bit, but not too much of
Okay.
it. So I was not getting admission into physical science. So my admission came in biological science. I had to go to talk to the dean, plead that what I want to do is physics. And I cannot do physics when I do biological science. I have to be a physical science student where I could choose between mathematics and physics and even chemistry to be able to get to physics. And because I didn't do mathematics, it was very difficult. I have to go begging and promising that I can do it. So I didn't do mathematics in secondary school because at the time I got in, mathematics, we didn't have mathematics teacher, elective mathematics teacher. And so biology teacher was available, and biology was interesting also. Physics was available, chemistry was available, but there was no maths teacher for 2 weeks when we started. And getting into secondary school with that excitement, and there was no teacher coming. At that time, we were choosing 3 electives, not 4 like we have now. So you choose either biology or physics. But physics and chemistry were compulsory, so you do the 2. Plus, you choose between biology and mathematics.
How many female students were in your class?
I went to girls' school. So all of us were like 35 in my class. We were all girls. In fact, we had 2 classes, A and B science class at my time. And each class was about 35 or 40 less than 40.
So it was normal for you to share a class with other women or young girls at the time?
Yeah, at that time, at that level, we have a lot of girls reading science in Ghana. What we all don't get and understand is after the secondary school level, because we have a lot of girls reading science up to secondary school level. Yeah. Beyond that, the number start diminishing, it becomes smaller in number. So we have this inverted pyramid, or it's like a pyramid, where getting to the top, you get STEM careers or STEM, or women in STEM becoming smaller and smaller. So when I was reading my physics program at the University of Cape Coast, I was the only female in class.
Ah, there it is.
That's the problem. Yeah. And then the rest were all men. Then when I was reading my master's, obviously I was the only female. And then I did 50% physics, 50% mathematics program at the master's level. Okay. So during the coursework, there was 1 mathematics student and myself who were in class. Okay. So when we had to do common courses of maths, we are 2. Yeah, but when I'm doing physics, I'm alone. Then at the PhD level, I was also alone during my batch with other men. Yes. In fact, I was alone. Okay. I understand 2 previous year and 2 previous years. There was no female, and then I came in. And after me, there was a female from Tanzania and all of that. So
you see how that fits into the narrative that not a lot of women venture into science, or should I say STEM programs? Yes. Did you face any kind of, I don't want to use the word discrimination or stigmatization, but were you treated any different because you were a woman in all these levels where you were the only woman studying with the men? Yeah. Because it is, or it looks like a male-dominated area. That's How did you manage?
So I didn't feel any different. Okay. Actually, during my first degree, of course, you see that I'm the only female, but I wasn't that soft, so I'm still not soft though. Yeah. So I didn't feel any different until I started looking for opportunities for masters. And when you read the applications, they tell you that women are encouraged to apply. So that statement, I ran through my head like, why the special attention to women in this application? Then me, I'm encouraged to apply anyway. Yeah. So I will apply. And I got a lot of opportunities when I started my master's. I got my first international funding whilst I was still in Ghana. Okay. And I didn't even finish the master's. I got other opportunities to go straight into the PhD program. So I got a lot of funding opportunities, and not just funding, but other research, other visits, and so many opportunities I got. And some of them I got because I'm a female reading science or in the space of science. Some I got because I'm an African studying that, and some African women studying science. So I got all these opportunities as a female reading science. Some of them also I got because I was an African studying in Africa.
Okay.
So I did my PhD in South
Africa,
Africa, and some of the funding came for, like from Germany, DAD. It came for African women studying in Africa. So I got all these different categories of funding to support my studies. And at the time, I really enjoyed myself. I didn't feel like finishing school, but I had to finish quickly.
Yeah.
So within 4 years, I finished my PhD. And then I came back to Ghana.
Are.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful story. But I want to stay on the gender bit for a little bit. I know that we have an affirmative action law. The president is trying in his appointment. As we speak, he's done 27%. He says that, I'm just told that we've seen the list of deputy ministers. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll look at it and see how many women are in there. What would be your assessment in terms of status quo, gender advocacy, women issues, and how we are implementing already existing policies and programs for women? What's your assessment of it?
Yeah, I think we are doing well.
Okay.
We are getting really better on this affirmative action. Before now, it's still there, but a little bit getting better. Women always come in as afterthoughts, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's changing, but it's still there, but it's changing. And I hope it will change for women to be in the mainstream of decisions. Not they themselves are decision making, or makers, but during decision making, issues of women are considered right from the onset, not an afterthought.
What do you think would take? You said we need to change. What do you think it would take? Just off the top of your head, what do we need to do differently or more, just so that we can encourage more? I know that for me, this conversation with a woman in power, it encourages more women participation in leadership.
Exactly.
What do you think is that unique selling proposition or X factor that we need to really, hit it home?
Yeah, I think it's more of the mindset and the advocacy we have to do.
Yeah.
So people think, even sometimes among women, they think women cannot be leaders. So until we had Professor Nana Jenopoko becoming the vice president, during the campaign, we had a lot of talks on, we can't have a woman vice president and all of that. But I know the narrative has changed, and it will even change for the best.
Okay.
So we can have women leadership. We've seen several examples, if not in Ghana, across the world. And women leadership are unique. We know, women have different ways of actually managing institutions, and as we manage the homes. I always say women normally are mothers. They take care of the home, making sure that what is needed at home is there. There are some that are off, we call them maybe outliers, but
there are always a few bad nuts, aren't there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Typically, a woman takes care of the home, and it carries that same skill to a workplace to manage, if it's a leader, to manage whichever institution a woman is put there.
Okay. Your academic and professional background is so impressive. And what were some of the defining moments that you think earned you this current position? What do you think you did differently? You are the third woman to lead the Environmental Protection Agency, now authority. You're the third woman. I saw Lieutenant Colonel Christine something. There's another woman before you. What do you think you did that earned you the spot?
Okay, so first of all, it's my area of expertise.
Yeah.
I kind of fit in perfectly in the works of the EPA.
Okay.
So one is my expertise, and then two is also because I helped the NDC win the election. I did a lot of campaign.
Okay, really?
But of course, I put my profession on the line.
Okay.
I put my expertise on the line, everything on the line for the campaign, because we needed a change. And I also believe that some of us with the technical know-how should be part of the governance of the country.
So politician match?
Yes. So would
you call yourself a politician?
I will now call myself a politician,
Okay.
because I've contested primaries on 2 occasions already. So before, I wouldn't agree that I'm a politician, even though I was campaigning. Even after my last election, my last primaries, I was not calling myself a politician, but now I can call myself a politician, noting from the campaign I did up to today. I believe we need this level of technocrats into our governance, and I think we are on the right steps. going forward. If you look at the appointment His Excellency John Dramani Mahama did, you see a lot of expertise that has put, or he has put in the right places in the country. And I believe we can work hard for the reset of the country to come to pass.
Okay, we'll get to the EPA in a bit. But final question on gender and maybe on your personal and your journey so far. Do you ever experience challenges? Do you feel the weight of societal pressure on you as a woman who maybe ventures, you dare to venture into areas that you don't even see yourself as different because you're a woman, right? You see something, you see a goal, you go get it. Do you feel the weight of society, the way at 30, aunties are already calling you to get married, or why don't you have a child yet, or something? Most young people watching us are going through one of many issues of the sort, where society just thinks because you are a woman, there are certain expectations of you. How do you navigate those waters?
Yeah.
I like the sigh. It means you can relate.
No, I do. Fortunately, on my part, I married very early.
Oh,
I married very early. At the age of 24, I was already married.
Okay.
And I was lucky, I must say, to have a partner who supports my cause and has been very helpful in everything that I do, including my academic and professional work. He has been very, very helpful. He helps at home as well. So I would say my story would be different from probably a lot of women and their case. But advice I give to my students, especially the young ones who want to marry, is that if you have the power to choose your partner, choose the one who will be supportive. And you get a signal at the very beginning. You just have to pay attention to pick it up. Then agree to someone who will be supporting to your cause than someone who will not be supportive to you. If you're an ambitious woman, you need a supporting partner. Otherwise, you don't move forward.
I'm going to take that and tie it in my avoto, something we say in my local language.
Yes, and one thing that has helped me in my marriage also is communication.
Right.
I communicate a lot about what I want to do and what I'm doing with my partner and even the children. And if you want the support of them, you need to communicate for their understanding of what you want to do. And then you drive on with it. You asked a question earlier on where the moment that brought me into this far, especially my professional life. One thing I did significantly that had propelled my progress, especially my academic life, is keeping my students on. So when you pass through me as your supervisor, I keep you in my research team. So we continue to work together even after you have graduated in what we call a research group. So I have a research group that we work together. So you write a paper, I write a paper. We have 2 papers each already instead of having one paper. If we are 5, all the 5 of us are writing paper. So instead of spending like 3 months or 4 months writing 1 paper, everybody is spending the same time. And in 5 months, we all have 5 papers. So we practiced this and it worked for me. One of my excitement, I have trained men. I have actually produced about 14 PhD students in the country and in West Africa altogether. I have only 1 female.
You say it so easily, like it's nothing. That's
no,
not
it's a lot
feat.
of work. It's a lot of work. Midnight, I have to wake up, read theses, wake my student up. I can call my student and say, let's discuss your. I'm sleeping. I have not slept yet. You cannot sleep.
So you're a top professor, eh?
Yes. Okay. So I'm excited because I have produced a PhD student from the University of Ghana, who I would say is a replica of myself. As at now, she's going to graduate in the next graduation, I think in February. And she's going to graduate with a PhD in physics. But the focus is on climate change. Congratulations. Thank you.
And it's such an honor to just get to know you. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now let's get to the EPA. I know it's only been a few days in office, but what does a typical day as the EPA boss look like for you?
I want to take it that because it's the beginning, I get so many visitors. People come and go, and it's even difficult to read files. So it's like I have to stay in the office up to like 10, 11 p.m. when everybody is gone. I had to now sit and now read through the files and the approvals I have to make and all of that. EPA work is a lot of paperwork, a lot of paperwork. You have to read every line for either approval or reassigning the whatever is there to your other colleagues and all of that. So I need time to do the reading. I need time to be doing the thinking of how to restructure EPA, because now we have become an authority.
True.
And there are a lot of things that must change in the system to make us reflect as the authority that we have. So there are a lot of things that's going on. So I'm juggling a lot of things at the moment up, plus the visitors I have to see. And it's understandable because people must come to greet anyway. Yes. So I'm receiving congratulations.
Those beautiful flowers. The cameras can't capture it, but yeah.
I'm getting people coming in to congratulate me, people coming in to explain what they do, their relationship with EPA, people coming to introduce their companies, and people were coming to seek for job applications as well. I've already received 170 CVs.
170
CVs for applications for employment.
And we thought the president's job was easy, right? When he had to select 60 ministers and he was inundated with thousands of CVs.
I know that wasn't easy at all. But the good thing is that EPA, because it has become an authority, is going down to the district level, which means that we need people actually to work with.
True.
So we carefully will select those who can deliver on the ground and then work with them.
But while the dust settles, while the visitors reduce as they come in and go, I'm sure you already have your priorities coming into this place. You must have known at some point that you were going to be here today. What are you focused on? I know I see a lot of your rounds, galamsey here and there, but let me leave that to you. What are you prioritizing right now?
I want to make a correction here.
Okay.
That until I saw my appointment letter, I didn't know that I was coming to EPA.
Oh, it came as a surprise to you?
So I just knew that the way John Mahama, His Excellency, the President, is doing the appointment, I'll be in the space of my expertise.
Okay.
That I knew, but I didn't know that it would be specifically EPA. Anyway, I told myself that I will make a significant progress in my first 100 days, which has already started counting since last week. It has started already counting since last week. There are emergencies to deal with in the country. One of whom I've started taking steps on is the mining we have in our water bodies. And so I see an emergency on our water bodies. The water bodies are already stressed with climate change. We are having a lot of evaporation of the water, and the raining pattern are also different these days. So the water bodies are already stressed because of climate change. And now we humans are contributing to polluting the water, and access to quality water has become a big challenge in the country. I see that as an emergency as a person. And so getting EPA as a vehicle to use to deal with this issue, I feel very much privileged, and I will know in any way take it as a joke. But work hard to deal with our water situation in the country. It is in our mandate as EPA to protect our environment, to regulate all institutions and all activities about our environment, to coordinate as well issues that relate to our environment, and provide oversight responsibilities for every activity in the country that is related or dependent on climate change.
True.
So we have a broader mandate, and when we're talking about environment, we're talking about where we have the air that we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, where we walk, it's all in our environment. How do we make it safe? How do we protect what we have? I need to also get into education with my colleagues here, to everybody in the country, on how to understand the value of the environment. We need to respect our environment. We cannot have life without the environment, and we have to understand this as a people and move towards it. So we do a lot of engagements and making sure that the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, will have a value for the environment.
So your priorities are dealing with the emergency situations first, and
Exactly.
then work your way forward from there.
Exactly.
I do want to get into your strategies and how you intend to solve the problem of galamsey, which I like to say is a very canker eating at the fiber of this country's development. But we will have to take a break. But before we take a break, I want to find out from you. Many people say that climate change is not anything we should be fussing about because the climate changes every 50 years anyway. The rain patterns that we were used to before it recently changed, it was not that way 50 years ago. So what's the fuss about? What do you say to people like that?
Okay, I'll explain this way. So yes, climate change has always been there, and when I'm teaching and I'm engaging the public, I say whether human beings lived on Earth or not, the climate was going to change. So which means that, I mean, the climate will change anyway.
Yeah.
With human beings on Earth, the climate is changing in a way that is different from how it has changed, as you said, 50 years ago. And that way is what is causing the alarm of today. So what we are saying is that the rate at which changes are occurring shouldn't be the way it is. Because comparing to the past, things change naturally and like a natural system. Bringing in small change, the system is able to adjust slowly. But now the changes are big. And so the system is struggling to adjust to its normal state.
Right.
And it causes other changes that it's difficult to deal with now. So we get a lot of extremes. So heat waves, extreme heats, we get flooding. There are so many issues that are happening. Coastal erosion, we are seeing it here in Ghana as well. So it's changing in a way that is unprecedented, and that is our concern. It's because humans have contributed to the change.
Professor Nanama, which one comes first, Brown or Klutse?
Brown.
Brown, Klutse. You are watching Women, Power and Politics on the Joy News channel. I'm enjoying myself. You know how I do it. But let's take a quick break. When we return, the conversation continues.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Women, Power, Politics. And my guest on today's episode is the CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown Klutse. And we were having a conversation about her life. We've talked about what pushed her to become the powerhouse of a woman she is today. And we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the work here at the EPA. Prof, let's get incisive now. So, about dealing with the emergencies. I know galamsey is on the top of your list because you mentioned how Ghana Water Company is already struggling with turbidity levels and all that. What is the strategy here? Because many governments, many administrations, governments are continuous, so many administrations have tried, but galamsey just doesn't go away. What are you going to do differently?
Thank you
I
very
saw
much.
your statement. Within the first 2 or 3 days you assumed office.
Exactly.
I saw that statement. And I've seen that you've gone around, you've seized some excavators and all that. But what is the strategy?
Thank you. I think the difference here is that previous administration, those who are fighting galamsey were themselves involved in the galamsey or the small-scale mining or any mining of it of any sort. So I am not involved in mining of any sort, and I believe we can take this fight at a different level because I'm not involved. So previously, those who are supposed to fight it or probably manage it have been involved, but I'm not involved. And I just finished a meeting with my sector minister, the Minister of Science, Environment and Technology. He's also not involved in mining in any way.
You say so that on authority?
I say it on authority. I met him, I asked him straight, Honorable, are you involved in this mining, illegal mining? He said, no. I said, I'm serious about this question. He said, my sister, I tell you for a fact that I'm not involved with mining. I said, then together we can do this fight. He said, yes, we are together on this. So we are on.
But does it come down to you and the sector minister?
Yes.
I think that the narrative from previous administrations is the lack of political will.
Yes.
Like you said, because some people in government were involved.
Yes.
But does it come to just you and the sector minister who are not involved? Or does your strategy involve dealing with those who you know are in this administration who are also involved without any fear or without favor?
Yes.
You know, is that the strategy here?
Yes. So I'd said it severally in the media that for us, we're going to enforce the law. And we know that nobody in the country is above the law. So whoever is part of this, once we know, we will face the law. So we will do our part anyway. So as you said, it's not only the EPA and the Ministry of Environment and, Science and Technology that's supposed to do this. We have the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources that also give permit for entry. And we have the Minerals Commission that also gives some level of permits for mining. We have to work together with them in this, our fight. But as I said earlier on, we are not involved in the mining, and so we believe we can have a clear head to do the fight. We will deliver our mandate as EPA. The Ministry of Environment are the policy. They come up with the policy. They come up with the direction as to what we should do. We have the power to implement what we have to do. We have a new act that gives us more authority to even get out there and prosecute. So we will deliver on our mandate. We can prosecute. In fact, in the law, we have to establish back the environmental court. And we want to be, my legal team is talking to the Attorney General on the setting up of environmental courts.
Okay. Because many would argue that we have fine policies and programs in this country. Our problem is always implementation. And so your, should I, again, strategy to enforce or to encourage compliance would be to prosecute those found culpable without fear or favor.
Yeah, it's just one of those. So prosecution is one of those. We need public education. We wish that it's not started at all for us to go in to fight it. So we need public education. The communities where they do this kind of illegal mining, if they don't allow entry, even if the people have permits, the people cannot mine there if the community protects their environment there. So we need a community to also understand the powers they have as a community. We need the elders to also understand this kind of fight we are doing. We need their collaboration, we need their cooperation in dealing with this. So education, public education is key as part of our strategy, and we are going to do that.
Prof, let me stay on this a bit longer. We know that people make as much as 500,000 Ghana cedis, 1 million Ghana cedis from just one tunnel drive or whatever in and out. How are you going to educate these illegal miners? Or how are you going to reorient their mindset? Because they're seeing the money. Every day they risk their lives by going into those pits and underwater bodies. They see, all they see is money and gold. The work is not easy. How are you going to do this?
Let's put it this way. Generally, mining is legal in Ghana. You have to get the right permits, right licenses to operate. What is not legal is what we call illegal mining. AKA we have small scale mining, we have medium scale, we have large scale mining. What EPA is going to do, and at this point let me sign a strong warning to the people who want to mine. If we get you mining without licenses, we'll prosecute you. In fact, we'll take you to face the law. That's one. So those without license are illegal, and we have to deal with it. Especially those who are mining in our water bodies. No institution will give permit for someone to mine in our water bodies. So those who are mining in water bodies are already categorized as illegal.
Talking about permits, we still have that legislative instrument that allows for mining in our forest reserves. We know that before the end of Akufo-Addo's administration, there was that plan to actually bring it back in Parliament to repeal that LI 2462, I think. How are you going to escalate that fight to repeal that LI? Is it part of your, strategies?
Yes, I want to give an explanation to that as well. So this is the reason the law came to being. So the law was drafted to regulate mining in our forest area. So if there's no mining in our forest area, there's no, the law is not necessary. But the president has the power to assign any parts of our land to anyone to do anything. So the then president allowed mining in the forest area. So he pushed EPA to now draft a law to regulate the mining in the forest area. So if president of today agrees and says there's nobody should enter the forest area to mine, the law is not necessary again because there's no activity to regulate it. So the law came to being because the then president allowed mining in the forest area. That's why the law is there.
Okay.
If today president gives an announcement saying that there shouldn't be any law, and I heard him last week say we should revoke all licenses of people mining in the forest area or forest reserve. There are protected areas in the country, including the water bodies.
Right.
They are all protected areas. People should not mine there.
Okay.
So if president do not exercise such authority for entry into forests, the law is of no use.
Okay.
But until then, if people are mining in the forest, we need to regulate that also as EPA.
Okay.
That is where the law comes in.
Okay.
So we can repeal the law if president says there's not going to be mining in the forest area.
Okay.
Until then, the law must still work to
Okay.
regulate the mining.
Well, I'm looking forward to Parliament repealing that law, in totality, because our forest reserves need to be untouchable.
It's true.
But let's move the conversation forward. Aside Galamsey, what are the threats to environmental sustainability for this country? What are the dangers that you foresee?
Yep.
And, this is your expertise, your area of expertise. What dangers are we facing? Just this morning, I was reading an article from the Guardian, and it talks about levels of microplastics found in human brains.
Yeah.
You saw that. I was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
when
what
you
are the
mentioned
dangers?
it, I was going to bring the issue of plastic waste
Mm.
out. And of course, general waste, but more of plastic waste because that forms like 80% of our waste
Yeah.
in the country. So it's a big threat, and we see the increments in the number of plastic
Yeah.
waste in the country. There are a lot we can do. We can learn from other countries. We can learn from Rwanda. We can learn from Kenya. We can learn from other, even European countries, the use of plastics.
Yeah.
So thin films or polyethylene and those kind of plastics that commonly used are no longer in use in some countries, which we can go by same. So we can go paper bags, and EPA is going to implement this.
Okay.
Very soon, you will start seeing more paper bags. We'll do it small. We'll start small. We don't want any uproar in the country, and so we'll start small with the supermarkets. When we go to regulate them as EPA, we enforce them to use, or we force them to use paper bags instead of plastic bags, and we will find ways of doing that already.
Okay.
We can do, so in the former areas, like the airport, you can get through Kotoka Airport with a plastic. No plastic bottle.
That would be wonderful.
Yes, no plastic bottle, no plastic bags. You can't go through the airport with plastic. This is implemented in Kigali Airport, I know for sure. So we can start small and then move it slowly into the informal sector. Starting that also means Ghana is warm, so you can't walk through the town without drinking water. So then you get to drink sachet water or bottled water you carry or buy on the streets, which means also that we have to provide drinking water at vantage points. So at the airport, for instance, we can put drinking waters there. You have your what's the name, flask or cup, you fetch to drink. You can also use your hand to fetch the water to drink, which is done in other countries. You walk in the town.
I know we've moved away from Galamsey, but I have to ask, do you drink, are you able to drink the regular sachet water? Do you know anyone who is able to?
I drink as well.
Are you not scared?
I'm scared, but what is the alternative? We don't have alternatives. The same people who are actually doing the mining, I would say the big people, they have alternative use or the alternative way of buying water. But some of us, the ordinary Ghanaians, we still fall on sachet water. In fact, we're supposed to be drinking from tap water.
Yeah,
but we are afraid we cannot drink from tap water when you see the tap water is polluted.
Okay.
Ghana Water Company struggles to actually clean up the water for us.
Yeah.
They do struggle a lot because the level of pollution of the water, it's not just the turbidity, it's not just the color you see. There are also heavy metals that are in the water that are harmful to our health. So they have to clean and clean and clean the water before it comes through our taps. Even to use to cook is unsafe as drinking it. But we are comfortable using the tap water to cook and do every other thing, but we don't feel comfortable drinking from the tap. It's the same thing.
Amen. I honestly wish you the very best so that you can start to change, the narrative for us. There's so much going wrong in the environment, and because the average Ghanaian is hungry, they're thinking first about their stomach, right? And so these conversations about plastic, it seems so far away from them. But let's get into your leadership skills, values, and then wind down on the conversation. What is your leadership approach? What values in terms of decision making, in terms of whether radical or soft approach? What is your leadership style? What does it look like?
A combination of both. So I believe in teamwork. I believe in coming to a common agreement of actions to take. But of course, there are some situations a leader must be hard and be radical. So my style is a combination of both, where I feel this is the way to go. Even without support, I have to still implement it. But it doesn't happen often. It's once in a while those things often
Sounds like
happen.
Those once in a while you may face opposition, criticism. How do you deal with that?
Okay, so I'm just leaving my seat at the head of physics department.
Yeah.
And I faced really deep issues, which I had to deal with them.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to ignore. You normally will get from maybe one person or two people. You try to make it liberal. Try to discuss it on a low level. And if it still doesn't work out, you go ahead with the implementation. It's normal. I mean, these are every leader. I mean, you will not be liked by everybody.
Yes.
You will get some opposition anyways, anytime. So I will try to combine both as much as possible. Yes.
What's the most radical thing you've done as a leader and you just had to do it? Please share one with me. What's the one thing you did that...
decisions,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can, I'm not sure I can go very much into detail, but I've had situations where I had to take these critical decisions and I wouldn't look back taking those decisions.
Okay.
So I've had that several times, but well, not many times, a few times, but very hard decisions I had to take.
Right.
I've done that before.
Okay. Do you get criticized sometimes? And I want to draw, let me set a context with what we saw in at the appointments committee during the vetting of the ministerial nominees. We saw MFA Hardcastle get into an altercation with, I think, Minority Chief Boy Frank Anodompre, and so many other instances. There was even that, should I say, minority leader using a savory comment about the clerk because she's a woman. Yes, you know her.
Student,
look at that. You know, do you get criticized and attacked because you are a woman, and when a man does whatever it is you did, they get away with it, but just because you're a woman, they expected more or less from you? Have you ever been in a situation like that? For example, the commentary pouring in, people will say, MFA Hardcastle is a woman, she shouldn't have done that. But if it was a man, would they have the same problem?
That's the thing. So, I mean, that's where I will probably get upset. Because sometimes you are in a situation where you ask people, is it because I'm a woman? I've had several times I had to ask this question. Is it because I'm a woman?
You ask.
And then, and you ask with anger, you show like, I don't like this kind of thing, treatment. Yeah, so, yes, obviously, if probably they were men, the reaction wouldn't be the same as we are saying. So that is one thing. Part at the very beginning, we're talking about the affirmative action. That is one of the things we need to orient ourselves. A woman is a human being as a man. So it doesn't matter what a woman says, a man says. It should be treated the same way. So for me, I will ask anyway.
Okay.
I mean, is it because I'm a woman?
Yeah.
Or even in the outside world, I'll ask, is it because I'm a black? You
Yeah.
know? And then you get people shaky, you know, you get for
Yeah.
asking that question. Like, you want to discriminate because of my sex, because of my race? Then you move on.
That's something I'll steal and do. Is it because I'm a woman? Prof, I'm curious to know, if you weren't here as CEO of EPA, would you still be in academia? What other career path would you have pursued if you weren't here right now?
Yeah, I would probably still be my professor in my one corner at the University of Ghana as the head of department.
Okay.
Because I had a term to serve for 3 years and I could only serve like 1 year before I moved here.
But any other interest that if you were not doing, you know, this
I always told my
climate,
fans,
environmental sustainability, what would you do?
unfortunately, that's all I've been doing. So
Okay.
I've several times told my people around me that I'm not a businesswoman.
Yeah.
All I know to do is this physics and climate stuff, and I do consultancies in them.
Yeah.
And all of that. So probably that's what I would have been doing if
Okay.
I was not here. Yeah.
So young women aspiring to leadership in STEM and environment science or policy, everything that has to do with some, you know, the field of work that you are involved in, and they're probably thinking that it's too much work. How would you encourage young women like that to also step into these arenas of power, because it's doable?
Yeah. I would say their thinking is right. It's too much work, indeed.
Okay.
It is too much work, but it takes a lot of commitment. I didn't have a social life until recently. So I didn't have the time to sit out with friends. Didn't have the time to do social media. I didn't have that time. Until recently, I've been advised to take some time off and all of that. Even that, I'm struggling to get some time off. I work 24 hours, 7 days in a week. I work every time. I can wake up in the middle of the night, pick my laptop and work. Any time of the day I work, and I don't go without my laptop anyway. Everywhere I go, I have my laptop.
Because then I'm forced to ask, how do you balance your life? Where is the work-life balance?
I've had one situation where my daughter was speaking to me and I was on my laptop. She pushed my laptop out. Mommy, I'm talking to you. So
Yeah.
I kind of combine them. I put them into the work, you know. So it has not been easy. And as I always said earlier on, you need a supporting partner. So where I'll be in the middle of cooking and I'll remember that I have this deadline to click. So I was working on the document and it was left with clicking. I had internet issue and I stopped and I had to come home to do the cooking. And in the middle of the time, I'm like, oh, I have to go and submit it. Please come and continue with the cooking. I have to go and now click to send. So they do happen.
Okay.
And it's a lot of work. You just need to be committed. I always say there's a reward, and I've enjoyed myself in my field. I've had several rewards for working hard to get to this point.
So would you say it's a worthy sacrifice?
It is, I would say.
You know, no social life, just focusing on your work and maybe family and all that. Worthy sacrifice?
Yes,
or
to
are
some
you only now
extent,
reaping the benefits of
I am.
this?
So I wish that, I mean, social life is important.
Okay.
So I will encourage a bit of social life, but not too much into social life, especially when you have an agenda to pursue. You should know that these are the goals you want to achieve within this period. So whilst at it, you put social life aside. Achieve this, finish, and then you can have some time out. And then you get back to another serious business and can have some time out. Okay. So I normally will pop champagne when I get a paper published. I put up a dance with my students, people around me. When I have a paper published, like, whoa, there we go. Off.
I was going to ask you my penultimate question, which would be, what do you do for fun? But you've already told us a little bit of that. But I'm asking anyway.
Some of us in academia, what gives us our excitement to getting a paper published.
Yeah.
So, or when you get a paper accepted, you get a publisher saying your paper is accepted, you're like, whoa,
it's Christmas.
You're happy.
Yeah.
It's Christmas for us. Or when you win a consultancy bid or something, then you are excited. But the excitement is more of getting a paper published, for me.
Okay.
Yes.
My final question to you. Okay. What is one thing about you that would surprise our audience if they learn that about you?
Oh.
What is the one thing about Professor Klutse that if they heard right now, they'll be like, no way, that cannot be here?
Okay. Maybe a bit of my social life.
Okay.
Like, so I kind of take everything seriously when I'm doing them. So when I'm going social, I go really social.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe that's an aspect that
Yeah.
people will be surprised about me, because when I have to do social, I go really, really social.
Okay.
And when I get serious with other things, I get really, really other things. But on
Right.
27th of March, I will be delivering my inaugural lecture at the University of Ghana. So it's normally in the evenings, like around 5 p.m. So to be at the University of Ghana. And you'll be surprised at my topic. Do you want to know?
Yes, please tell us.
So I'm going to talk about the physics, policies, and politics of climate change. And that's my definition. I mean, since I started work, that is what I have learned. That is what I have displayed. That's what I have taught. I have demonstrated.
That's your life.
That's my life.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what's
Who's
going
invited?
to be. It's open to the general public, and
Right.
well, let me use your medium to invite the general public to be part of the inaugural lecture, which I will deliver at the University of Ghana at the Great Hall. It's normally streamed live on YouTube and the social media handles of the University of Ghana.
Okay.
So 27th of March, you hear from me.
I'd love to, off record, I'd love to invite you on the AM show, which is the morning show that I co-host with Benjamin, just so we can sort of prepare. More like before you go for the public lecture, if you come that day.
Fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
This is not going to be
That's
the
fine.
interview.
No
Yeah, it would be
problem.
wonderful to do that.
Super.
Well, thank you so much for spending nearly an hour with us. I'll give you 30 seconds to just speak to the young women who are watching us right now. Give us 2 key takeaways, everything that you've learned in this life that has made you who you are. Just 3 quick points and then we're off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to the young women out there, my few words to you is to work hard, because hard work pays. I also say that favor, if you are bold, you get favors. So people who are bold get the favors. Don't be shy to come up with anything you want to do, and strive for uniqueness. Just look at yourself and say, what can I do differently from other women or other men or people in the society? Come out differently. It can be that small idea you want to pursue. If you're finding a way, struggling your way around it, talk to somebody who you think can be of help. So life is open to everybody. Nobody, I don't think in the country, nobody actually brings a woman down when you want to come up. We have a free world and you can make it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Nanama Brown Klutse, the CEO of Environmental Protection Authority. It's been a riveting conversation. Do let us know your thoughts. You can leave a comment. And for now, off I pop. Thank you for watching.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.